Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm going to do a little frame quality overview video on this Giant Trinity Advance Pro triathlon frame set. Now I think this was probably peak Giant. This frame is unusual. It's the only rim brake bike left in the World Tour and it's still going. It's probably one of the longest running model years ever. It's actually been running since the end of 2015. So that would be model year 2016. They're still using this exact frame. This is the triathlon non-UCI approved version, or the non-UCI legal version. And then there's a TT version as well, which doesn't have such a deep fork. It doesn't have the kind of appendages that go on the front, the hydration bottle and this kind of top tube storage thing. And I think it'll be going to disc brake in model year 2025. I think they'll do this for another year, model year 2024, and I think after that it'll be going to disc. So I really wanted to pick one up. It's got the brake mounts on the back of the very, very deep aero fork leg for the kind of Giant proprietary V-brake system, which doesn't work very well, but it's a TT bike, you don't really need to slow down. It's got quite a heavy aluminium steerer. Hopefully this doesn't disbond like the Propel did in the UK recently in a lawsuit. It's got quite a big bond area and I think it's pushed through from the bottom. So hopefully that's strong enough. Not going to think too much about that. Obviously not through axles, quick release axles, front and rear, rim brake. This is old school, but it's still, I think, one of the best TT bikes out there. And I've been riding the TT season this year on my road bike. Next year I think I'm going back to the TT bike just because, you know, I'm making all the parts for the cockpit. This is my custom cockpit. This is the Giant base bar and then my one-piece riser system. And that is basically designed to fit me. So let's have a look at the quality. Is it up to scratch? Because recently I built on the channel the Yoleo gravel bike and I was actually really impressed by the engineering of all the small pieces of that. So the metal hardware, the dropouts, the mech hangers, stuff like that, the brake mounts was all really good. Considering that was a very cheap Chinese direct-to-consumer brand, and this is a very large conglomerate, what are the perceivable differences in quality? So let's just focus on the BB for a second. So this is nominally a PF86 bottom bracket shell. It's the sort of Shimano standard, so it's 41 millimeters nominally diameter. And I forget, I think it's 86 and a half across. Internally, it's obviously there's no bonded aluminium shell, it's just one piece of carbon. It does look like it's been honed after moulding. There are some sort of abrasive marks in there from post machining, I think, so hopefully the diameter should be good, but we'll check the diameters with the calipers in a minute. There are a couple of threaded mounts on the bottom for the kind of cowling, or the kind of nacelle which covers the rear brake. The rear brake sits on there. That rear brake hole is just a through hole, kind of your standard rim brake mount, I guess. The thing I've always loved about the Trinity is there's just loads of tyre clearance for basically a very fast TT frame. You can fit way bigger than a 32 tyre because the chainstays are actually very narrow. It does make it a bit of a noodle to pedal when you're out the saddle, but there's so much tyre clearance on the back of here. If you're training for really long TTs or you just want to ride this across country with loads of stuff on it, because you do get quite a lot of storage on this being the tri version, it's very comfortable. You can fit a 32 in there, no worries. And because the dropouts, I'll just show you the dropouts, and because the dropouts have got little threaded grub screws in there, you can actually shift the back wheel forwards and backwards in the dropouts, and it's completely perfectly radial with the center of the cutout, the rear wheel cutout. So you can really dial in the back wheel fit. That's really nice. The forks, you are limited on the forks because the front tire starts to get very close to down tube, but I might be able to do something clever with that to make a bit more kind of radial clearance for the front wheel if I want to put a big tyre on there to do really long training rides. Headset cups, not much to say there. There's loads of carbon around these headset cups. Now this is a smaller bearing diameter than you'd get on a modern road bike because of all the integrated cabling and stuff. But loads of carbon, loads of wall thickness here. The seats are very, very good, very, very solid. There's quite a bad kind of undercut on the back of this, the back edge of that seat on the aft section. Internally, I'll drop in some internal shots in a minute, but it looks quite clean. Super aero profile down tube, very, very sharp, which I quite like. Not a lot of integration of a water bottle, but it does come with an aero bottle, so that's not too bad. Front mech hanger is completely removable if you want to ride one by, but I won't be doing that. I'll just normal 2x setup. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go mechanical shifting on this because my current TT bike is mechanical shifting. The bar end Dura Ace mechanical shifters on TT bikes work so well. They're just precise like a rifle bolt. And they actually give you a bit of extra grip to kind of hook your fingers on. They actually extend the reach of the poles a little bit. So I really like the mechanical shifters, and it's just not worth me going to Di2. This is going to be a build on the cheap. I bought the frame in the sale. I'm not going to waste money spending Di2 on it. It's not going to be something that's going to be ridden that much. And it is going to be ridden in all weathers as well. So yeah, not going to spend too much on it. But let's check the bottom bracket shell tolerances and then start building. Just one more quick note about the fork. This is super heavy. The wall thickness on this steerer tube is quite considerable. And I'm pretty sure this section of the fork, this crown, is actually cast aluminium as well. So I think this bit's aluminium, I'm not sure, it's quite heavy. This bit, yeah, you can see that's been machined. I think all of this is aluminium. So it's quite a bulky, weighty fork, but when it's all built and integrated, oh yeah, you look, you can even see the casting marks in there. This has definitely been cast. When it's all built up, it should be quite nice. But anyway, let's have a look at the bottom bracket. So we're just using calipers for this, but it should get close enough. Now the Shimano standard is 41 millimeters on the diameter. Now what you want to see is 40.95 to 40.98. Anything more than 41, you're going to start to get problems. And I've gone over this with Hambini. I'm going to use the cheap, you know, press fit Shimano plastic BB, which you can get for about 20 quid. If this is well made. If this was massively oversized or underside, I'd be looking to get kind of a corrective BB for it. If it's intolerance, there's no reason why you can't use the cheapo Shimano plastic one. It should work absolutely fine. They are weather sealed very, very well as well, and they're very light. But they come in at 41.05, so they're slightly oversized, and they actually rely on some compression to clamp down on the plastic cups. So let's check this out. It should be around 40.98. Not the best way of measuring a shell. You're not supposed to do it. 40.97 across there. That's 40.99. Pretty good so far. Let's check another random point. 40 point, give it a wiggle. 41.00. So it is a little bit on the big side in places. Now when I measured this yesterday on this drive side, I did find it a little bit small in this direction and a bit bigger across here. So it is slightly oversized, which is not what you want. Let's check the other side. But well within tolerance, I would say. Well within what's going to be good for the plastic Shimano bottom bracket. Right, let's do it and see if you can see the calipers a bit better. No, I can't see the calipers. What's that saying? 40.95. Not ideal measuring a ball with calipers. I'm not saying this is how you should do it, but it's good enough for ballpark. Now that one's quite small. 40.93. Definitely smaller on this side. That's strange. A little bit tighter. And across here. What's that saying? 40.96. Not too bad. So in total, I think that's pretty good. It's a little bit oversized on the drive side. This side is a little bit smaller than the drive side. But overall quality of the bike, I think it's pretty spot on. The paint's very, very good. The masking's very, very good. It's got this kind of rain. I don't know if you can pick this up in the light. It's like a metallic rainbow effect. Very well masked up around the bottom bracket, around the head tube. Internally it looks pretty good. And yeah, can't wait to get it built up. Like I said, I've had this bike before. This is a new one, just a fresh frame. It was on the sale. I do think Giant are one of the better ones when it comes to consistency in QC. And I'm going to build this up on the cheap, hopefully, and you'll get to follow my TT progress next season with a bit of luck. So yeah, rim brakes for the win on this one. Just show you those adjustable dropouts. Grub screws just hidden in there, so you can actually back the wheel out quite easily. There's one of the grub screws. But yeah, this is a large, it's the biggest one they do, and there's actually plenty of stack on there for big people. They don't need an XL. You can see a bit of bag. You see that bit of bag down there? And you can see the rainbow paint now. I'll shine the light on it. A little bit garish perhaps, but kind of like it. Nice bit of sort of 3K there for reinforcement, but definitely see a remnants of a bladder in there. Not going to be an issue because the seat post's not going to go down that far, but certainly not ideal having that bit of bag down there. Not great. Might be able to fish that out. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that little frame overview, and I'll see you in the next one. You'll see me building this up.